Hello guys! What was the worst and most haunting thing for Deboer? Which loss? Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, or Michigan? At the end, I'll give my opinion. The 2024 season was a roller coaster of emotions. But above all, it was proof that the weight of defeats is not measured only by the score, but by the memory and the lessons they leave. For Deboer, however, the deepest scars may not necessarily come from recent losses, like the painful ones against Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Michigan, but rather from a distant past that still echoes in his mind. When asked about which loss haunts him the most, Deboer did something unexpected. He went back to the beginning of his career, when he was coaching Sioux Falls in the NAIA. It was there, in 2005, that he suffered a crushing 55-0 loss in the national semifinals against Carroll College. At that moment, he was not the coach of Alabama, but a young coach trying to find his way. That game, by his own admission, was a nightmare, not only because of the humiliating result, but because it exposed all the team's flaws and the long road that still had to be traveled. But the most impressive thing is that Deboer turned that moment of pain into fuel for success. The following year, Sioux Falls would win the national title, proving that even the biggest setbacks can be turned into learning experiences. But now, Deboer is on a different level. He is no longer dealing with NAIA teams or modest structures. He is in charge of Alabama, a gigantic program, steeped in tradition and sky-high expectations. And this is where the recent losses begin to weigh alarmingly. In 2024, the Crimson Tide suffered 4 losses, a rarity for the program. Losing to Tennessee and Oklahoma would be enough to raise eyebrows. But the loss to Vanderbilt? That, without a doubt, was the final straw in a frustrating year for the Tide. Vanderbilt, a program that historically has not been among the greats of college football, accomplished something extraordinary, defeating Alabama with Diego Pavia leading the offense. This game will be remembered for a long time by Crimson Tide fans, but unfortunately not for good reasons. It is impossible not to see this loss as a symbol of the difficult moment the team is going through. When a program the size of Alabama falls to theoretically inferior opponents, it reflects a worrisome instability. And let's face it, losing to Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl only reinforced the feeling that something urgently needs to change. Deboer has a big challenge ahead. He needs to reclaim Alabama's identity, a team that has always been known for its aggressive defense, strategic control of the clock, and ability to dominate opponents in crucial moments. But this year, we saw an Alabama that was vulnerable, inconsistent, and at times completely lost. The losses to Tennessee and Oklahoma were tough, but still fitting in the context of a competitive season. The loss to Vanderbilt was simply unacceptable. And the loss to Michigan, which marked the first season with fewer than 10 wins since 2007, was the icing on the cake that was already hard to swallow. So what defeat haunts Jalen Deboer the most? If we look back, he answered it himself, the 2005 rout against Carroll College. That game was a turning point in his career, a reminder that failure can be turned into success if faced with humility and determination. However, if we look at the present, it is clear that recent losses, especially against Vanderbilt, are marking Deboer's career at Bama. Now, the question remains, will Deboer be able to apply the same lessons of overcoming obstacles that he learned in Sioux Falls to the helm of Alabama? He has already proven that he knows how to rebuild a team and that he is capable of learning from his mistakes. But Alabama is not Sioux Falls. The expectations are huge, and the time to show results is short. Crimson Tide fans are eager for significant improvements next season, and Deboer needs to prove that he is up to the challenge. My opinion? The loss that haunts Deboer the most today is not the one in 2005, but rather that unforgettable game against Vanderbilt. It represents everything that went wrong in 2024. The lack of consistency, the inability to impose Alabama's signature style, and, above all, the loss of prestige against lesser opponents. And how to recover from that. A lot of work. What about Austin Mack? As Crimson Tide fans, we know that Alabama's success has always been built on talent, hard work, and a relentless mindset, and Mack seems to embody just that. Austin Mack, the redshirt freshman who followed Deboer from Washington to Alabama, is currently in the running for the starting quarterback position, though offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb says he's positioned behind Ty Simpson and freshman Jalen Russell in the starting pecking order. But make no mistake, Mack isn't just another name on the list. He's the only quarterback on the roster with a college touchdown pass, an accomplishment that, while modest in numbers, signals his potential to shine at Bryant-Denny Stadium. His career, while still under construction, already shows signs of resilience and dedication, traits that echo the Alabama spirit. During A-Day, Mack faced challenges that exposed his inexperience at times. Interceptions thrown to cornerback Zabian Brown and linebacker Abdul Sanders Jr. revealed inconsistencies that are natural for a player still developing. But as any Tide fan knows, great players are not defined by their stumbles, but by how they get back up. And Mack wasted no time in showing his mindset. Days after the game, he took to social media with a clear message: "All in on me, keep going 10. The caption, accompanied by a gallery of photos, is not just a statement of confidence, but a personal rallying cry. The immediate support from teammates like Kean Sabb, Rico Scott, Zabian Brown, and even Jalen Russell himself, who is also in contention for the position, shows that Mack has already earned the respect of the locker room. That kind of camaraderie is what makes Alabama more than a team. It's a family." Kalen Deboer, in his first season as the Crimson Tide's head coach, has made no secret of his confidence in Mack. Speaking ahead of a charity event in Mobile, Deboer was blunt when asked about the quarterback. "Austin is going to be exactly that. He knows it. He's going to do it until the last day he steps on the field. That's just who he is." Those words are not just an endorsement, but a reflection of the work ethic that Deboer values. He called Mack one of the most dedicated players on the team and highlighted his extreme arm talent. For a coach who once arrived in Tuscaloosa with the task of replacing a legend like Nick Saban, those statements show that Deboer sees Mack as not just a player, but a potential leader for the future of the program. Offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, another key recruit from Washington, also offered an optimistic outlook on Mack's progress. Grubb said the quarterback has made great strides during spring practice, especially in adapting to the offensive system. "He's come out and developed," Grubb said, noting that Mack's struggles at A-Day are tied to some nuance and some ball handling. Those are fixable issues, and the fact that Grubb and Deboer continue to emphasize Mack's growth is a clear sign that he remains on the radar for the starting job. The comparison to Ty Simpson, who currently leads the pack, doesn't diminish Mack's brilliance, but rather highlights the depth of talent in Alabama's quarterback room. What makes this story so exciting for Crimson Tide fans is the bigger picture. Under Deboer, Alabama is in transition, not rebuilding. The coach brought with him a dynamic offensive system that has proven its worth in Washington, and now he's working to mold a roster full of raw talent. Mack, with his familiarity with that system, something Deboer confirmed when he said he and Simpson know the system well, has a unique advantage. His experience, even limited to 3 pass attempts in 2 seasons, is a starting point. And with the summer of competitive practices ahead, as Deboer anticipated, the battle for the quarterback position promises to be one of the most exciting storylines of the preseason. For Alabama fans, the message is clear. Austin Mack is more than a developing quarterback. He is a symbol of the new era for the Crimson Tide. Is he worthy of taking Ty's spot as QB1? Tell me at the end of the video. Now, with Milroe eyeing the 2025 NFL Draft and head coach Jalen Deboer ushering in a new era for Alabama, it's time to look back and understand what fueled the Texans' roller coaster run, while celebrating what he brought to the Crimson Tide and what the future may hold. Jalen Milroe, with his athletic ability and powerful arm, has often been the spark that ignited Alabama's offense. His 2024 performance against LSU was a perfect example of this. A game in which he confidently commanded the field, exploiting his ability to make plays with his legs and make game-winning passes, leading the Tide to a memorable victory. This was the Milroe who had fans dreaming of another national trophy. But at other times, such as the loss to Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl, poor decisions and a stagnant offense exposed his weaknesses. For Alabama fans who live and breathe the pursuit of perfection, these ups and downs have been both frustrating and intriguing, raising the question: why hasn't Milroe always been able to maintain that level of excellence? Jalen Deboer, in his first season as the Crimson Tide's head coach, offered a clear and thoughtful perspective on Milroe's inconsistencies during an appearance on the Next Round Live on Friday. With the wisdom of someone who has shaped dynamic offenses in Washington, Deboer noted that a quarterback's performance can never be analyzed in isolation. I think the problem with Jalen, like any other quarterback, is what's going on around him, too? That phrase captures the essence of what has made Milroe's journey so complex. At Alabama, the quarterback is the epicenter of the team, the one who bears the brunt of the wins and losses. Deboer noted that when a receiver drops a ball or the offensive line falters, the responsibility still falls on the quarterback. I tell our quarterbacks, if a kid drops the ball, it's your responsibility. Get it for them, he explained. That mindset, which Milroe has embraced, reflects the leadership style required in Tuscaloosa, but it also illustrates how external factors can amplify a player's inconsistencies. The Alabama coach went further, acknowledging Milroe's high ceiling, a phrase that resonates with any Tide fan who has seen the quarterback in his prime. Milroe has an arm that can spin the ball, and athleticism that makes him a dual threat, capable of turning broken plays into moments of magic. But Deboer also noted that a quarterback's success depends on a well-tuned ecosystem. I think exploiting that, playing to his strengths when he's at his best, makes the team thrive, he said. For Deboer, the key is to build an offense that maximizes Milroe's strengths, his ability to throw deep balls and his mobility, while working to polish areas that need development, like his decision-making under pressure. That approach not only explains Milroe's fluctuations at Alabama, but also serves as a roadmap for his next chapter in the NFL. With Milroe now focused on the NFL Draft, where he is projected to be the third quarterback selected behind Cam Ward, Miami, and Shedeur Sanders, Colorado, his decision to declare for the draft despite not being guaranteed a first-round pick reflects the spirit of a player who never backs down from a challenge. Deboer noted that the pick is also a gesture of support for teammates Tyler Booker and Jahad Campbell, who are also on the NFL radar. That sense of loyalty and camaraderie is part of what makes Milroe so beloved by Alabama fans, even during times when his play hasn't met expectations. For Deboer, Milroe's future in the NFL will depend on a team that knows how to put him in the right moments, put him in the rhythm, with the right pieces around him. It's a recipe that, in Alabama, hasn't always been perfectly aligned, but that has never diminished the quarterback's impact on the program. For Bama fans, Jalen Milroe didn't leave a good impression from my perspective, but you can tell us more about it in this video. I want to see what you have to say. Comment.